Hi, I'm Preeti. I'm a third-year PhD student in UBC, Vancouver, Canada. In this video, I'll be presenting our work on a descriptive analysis of the past decade of research in affective haptic system design. Ever started on a research field and felt lost in the vast space of academic papers, not knowing where to contribute? Well, that happened to me when I was trying to work out how I would approach my PhD research. I wanted to understand the relationship between touch and emotions, and how haptic technology can play a role in facilitating individuals' emotional health. Starting my program in 2020, I was well aware of the serious drawbacks of relying on communication channels, which completely lack social touch, a very important mode to communicate or regulate our emotions. I wondered if affective haptic technology could have played a role there. Maybe right now you're asking yourself, what exactly is this term? So let me explain. Affective haptic technologies are technologies that use touch or tactile feedback to evoke emotions in users. These technologies can range from simple vibrotactile feedback, like in your mobile devices, to a more complex system that stimulate texture, temperature, and other physical sensations. So motivated by this context, I started navigating through this immensely interdisciplinary field and accessing the research papers in venues with pretty different publishing culture and using a mismatch of terminologies, methodologies, technologies, and evaluation protocols from all these different places. Standing there as a novice researcher in the middle of this interdisciplinary field, it was hard for me to perceive what research problems have been solved and what issues serves as bottlenecks. So as a haptician situated in HCI methods and interested in affective computing, I decided to look at this field through design and technical lens, trying to figure out a holistic way to learn about it. So I began my quest of reading, documenting, and organizing research in systematic way for us to carve out well-informed problems to solve. And in this pursuit, we conducted this immensely detailed descriptive analysis, identifying the field of affective haptic system design situated at the intersection of HCI, haptics, and affective computing. I, along with my great collaborators and supervisor who have been working in this field for almost more than 30 years, created this meticulously organized dimensional space as a framework for our analysis. As a quick rundown, our three-tier dimensional space consists of facets, dimensions, and values. We selected 8 facets to serve as different perspectives on the dataset, answering our set of research questions. The 38 dimension organized within these facets contain categorical, descriptive, or metadata values. Through our 5-step review process, we filtered, screened, and coded the papers. Our keywords were a combination of affect and haptic terms, using which we screened a paper database of 11 selected IEEE and ACM venues, resulting in 110 papers. My co-authors and I coded these papers together while drawing consensus to ensure rigor. And thereafter, we analyzed this curated dataset in all possible ways, plotting trend graphs, drawing comparison between different dimensions, and organizing the information we found in thematically arranged tables. All of which serve as an excellent resource for an individual like me starting in the field. Okay, so now that I've told you my story, in the next part of the presentation, I'll guide you in ways in which you can use our paper as a resource, using some personas. So, persona number 1. Let's imagine you're a grad student like me trying to make an impactful contribution, but not sure where. You check the facet impact and then the dimension contribution type. In the contribution type plot, you see there's not a lot of evaluation work in AHSD research. And then you check the evaluation basis dimension and find out there's definitely a lack of work on evaluating long-term impact of AHSD technology. You go to the discussion section and read that the main reason of this being lack of standardized evaluation instruments and metrics. Well, then guess what? You set on a journey to do your PhD, developing standardized benchmarks for evaluating AHSD technology. Pretty neat, right? Okay, now as a second persona, imagine that you're a grad student, but with a better idea about what you're doing with your research. You want to develop a wearable affective haptic device for emotional communication between remote partners. You check the form factor plot and find out that your research direction is promising, as a lot of people have been working on wearable form factors. So that means there might be a good chance that there is an available technology for it and somebody is using it. As your target users are people in relationship, you jump to this table and find out relevant research papers in this area. Further, the discussion section on including diverse perspectives catches your attention and encourages you to think about how this technology can be designed for diverse perspectives. Example, not only designing your device for heterogeneous couples, but for a much more inclusive population. Now, as a third persona, let's imagine you have just learned about this buzzword haptics, probably from the recent metaverse talk by Mark Zuckerberg, and you want to learn how you can get started with this. Well, you can possibly jump straight on this facet called technology, where you can learn all about different haptic and sensing technologies used by researchers in the past 10 years. You can see how frequently these technologies are used using these graphs. And then you can browse through this very meticulously arranged tables to learn about different types of actuation and sensing technologies. And further, you can jump to the relevant cited paper and see how the researchers in this field have used it. And voila, you got a head start. Okay, now let's imagine as a fourth use case, you're an expert haptics researcher working in this field from past 10, maybe 15 years. You have seen all these projects taking shape under your supervision, and maybe you have attended a research talk like this for a few of them. And you know the majority of researchers working in the field. Then what makes this paper important to you? Well, all the plots in our paper try to give a holistic idea about the research trends in the field in the past decade. And overall, it presents a much bigger picture of AHSD research landscape, something that you might not be able to grasp learning about such research in a fragmented manner. In fact, we have made the final dataset available just for you to derive more such high-level conclusion based on the bricklaying work we have done. Now, for the very last use case, let's assume you have nothing to do with affect and haptics, and you have landed up in this video through the ACM Kai playlist, and you wondered why not just watch this video. So let me tell you this. The framework we design can be generalized to any technological research field by just adjusting a few parameters. And most of the open challenges we discussed might still apply to your field. So assume you're designing a VR application for gaming and don't know how to start. Well, why don't you start by pinning down values in your modified version of our dimensional space, and from there, you get started. So, in summary, you should definitely go and check out our paper. There's a lot of information in there, and there's a lot of work that went behind it. Summarizing, we did a more than a year-long project to systematically organize the past decade of AHSD research. Our open source dataset of coded papers serve the research community to gain better insights into the field. And our dimensional framework serves as a premise for analyzing and documenting AHSD research, which can be generalized in other research fields as well. In the end, I would like to thank my collaborators and my supervisor, whose organizational skills had definitely reflected in every bit of this work. Also, funding agencies that have supported us. Thank you so much.